Okay, a lot of you wear watches and or use your iPhone. I have Stephanie Reed to let me know when the time is right to do something. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the Friday the 13th version of the fan club, and it's all going to be good because any luck is good luck if you look at it the right way. So today's topic, remember the month of October is dedicated, our circle of excellence is communication. And last week we went over scripts and role playing and really encouraging all of you to come up with a partner or two and start practicing your scripts and start practicing role playing so that any situation you enter into as an agent, you're prepared for it and you know how to handle objections, you know how to handle people who are aggressive or meek, because you've done those role plays. And the more you do that ahead of time, the more successful you're going to be when you're doing your negotiations live. Never practice on your clients. Be prepared way ahead of time to handle anything that comes at you. So I can't see most of you, which is fine, so I'm not going to ask for a show of hands of all of you that either have come up with a partner to role play with or are thinking about it or are already doing it. Kelly's doing it. She's got both hands up. Stephanie, they're role-playing partners. And I would say that it's a big part of why they're having a career year, because they can handle anything that comes at them, because twice a week or so they're in their office yelling at each other, essentially, practicing belligerence, practicing rejection, all that stuff. So nothing surprises them. Okay, so that's my plug for scripting and role-playing. Hi, Pam. Okay, see you later. All right. But since it's the month of communication for Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties, we want to focus on something less oral and more visual. And depending on the studies you read, you're gonna find that nonverbal communication accounts for anywhere from 60 to, I think I heard it as high as 83% of how we understand each other. In other words, I can say whatever I want, but if my body is saying something different, the meaning is totally conveyed by my physicality, not the words I'm saying. And so whether you've been in drama or not, you know that the power of how you compose your physical self is as important, if not more important, than the actual words you're going to say. So with that in mind, we're going to spend a little time today talking about nonverbal communication. And I would love any of you that have some expertise in this or have done some training or know more than I do to absolutely jump in at any time. Let me remind you that the chat function doesn't really work when we're sharing a screen. And so I would just advise you to unmute yourself and just say, excuse me, here's what you really meant to say. And then we'll all get better. Okay? So with that in mind, I did a lot of research over the last couple days on these things, and if you type in nonverbal communication to YouTube, you could spend probably 4 weeks of your life just watching all the different videos about it. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of people that have some great ideas, a lot of charlatans who just want to get their name on YouTube and have videos, but I've put together a list for you, and here I'm going to start sharing my screen, I do believe. I put together a list that I will be sending to you with about 15 different, I don't want that, about 15 different links, and it looks like this. So you don't need to look at this too closely right now because you're going to get this from me, but just lots of different things. So when you're on your treadmill or you're driving, you can just push play and listen to this, whatever. So you've got all these different options that you're going to have about nonverbal communication. So that's my gift to you today. Okay, but what we're going to do first is we're going to actually participate in some nonverbal communication very quickly. And here's what I'm going to ask everybody to do. And if you don't do it, I don't care. It's only going to be a minute or two. But one of the things I saw in a video, which had never occurred to me, which was really cool, is how our physical presence can be powerful or it can be meek. And one of the people I was watching said that the reason Superman stands like he does and the reason he's Superman is because he stands like he does. So I'm going to ask everybody that's on the call right now to stand up. Okay? And I'm going to ask you to assume a Superman pose. Oh, someone being eaten? Holy alien. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know. I'm going to ask everybody to stand up and assume what we're going to call a Superman pose for about 90 seconds. And we're going to see if you have any feeling
That's Wonder Woman.
in assuming that pose of power. So stand up. Kelly, get off the phone, stand up. And you're going to spread your legs a little bit more than shoulder width apart. Think of Superman here. And here's the power part, as far as I'm concerned, is you're going to take your hands and you're going to put them on your hips. And this is more of maybe a, I don't know, but really, and then your chest matters too. Okay, stick that chest out a little bit. And,
I don't need to.
and hold your, and think of Superman. He's not looking to the side. He is about as straightforward a guy as you can ever see. So you want your face straight forward. So we're going to hold this for 90 seconds. Chest out, legs apart, hands on hips, looking straight ahead. Your head should be tilted a little bit up, not down. And what studies show is that if you do this a couple minutes a day, your body, it generates the endorphins of leadership and of power and of control. This stance can tell your body that you are in power. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you're feeling it right now, but if you make this, settle down, Stephanie. Yep. Now watch this. Flips table. Okay, that was maybe not 90 seconds, but we can sit down. All I'm gonna try to convey to you is that there are tricks out there for adding to how you feel about yourself. Here's one that I learned a long time ago when I was working at a school back before the cops found me. I spent an evening at dinner. I was having a horrible day, and all I wanted to do was feel better about it because I got kids at my table. We're eating dinner. This is a boarding school, and so what I started doing is I just smiled, and it was a hard thing because I was having a bad day. But I spent the next 15 minutes with a nonstop smile. And by God, if at the end of that dinner I wasn't in the best freaking mood that I had been in all year, just because I had smiled continuously, and even though I was faking it, your body reads what you're doing. Just like that Superman pose, your body feels powerful. If you smile, and studies back this up, it's not just me at a dinner table with a bunch of kids, your body releases different endorphins, hormones, whatever it is. I'm no doctor, obviously, but you can convince your body that things are really, really good by smiling, okay? Here's the last thing I want to say about nonverbal communication before we start looking at a couple of these links. It's not just how you control your body, but it's also your tone, and I know that's verbal, but you can tell your spouse or your partner, I love you, but if the tone is bad, it's going to not mean that at all. You can tell your kid, oh, boy, I'm really proud of you. And this is how I usually say it to my kid, boy, I'm really proud of you. The tone carries no pride in it. It carries no respect. And he knows that. So no matter what the word is, your tone matters a ton. So here's a little thing that you can do, which is a lot of fun, and I think adds to some insight about this idea of tone. A word that you can use in about 150 different ways is dude. Okay? So what we're going to practice here in the Sun Valley, no, not that one. What we're going to practice here in the Sun Valley office real quick, and if you're alone, you can't really do it, but we're going to say dude to each other in different ways. And all I want you to see is that the tone and the pitch and the way you use it changes the meaning entirely. Okay? So here's Ned right here. He's right there. And I am going to pretend that he has, for some reason, locked himself in a closet when I say dude. Okay, so dude. Dude. Okay. All right. Dana's over here, and she has just on purpose walked through a big dog bomb. Dude. Same word, same four letters. D-U-D-E. Totally different meanings. He's in the closet. She smells like dog poo. Stephanie right here. Yeah, Stephanie right here has just lost another deal because she has not paid attention to the details. Dude.
I know.
Dude. Okay, same four letters, very, very different meanings. Pamela here has changed her summer lady wardrobe to her fall lady wardrobe because of her exquisiteness.
Dude.
She took my line. Dude. Now, I probably wouldn't say dude to Pam, but she would get it, okay? And then Kathy here, who, here's the most interesting thing about Kathy. She's probably in the top 5 all time of sweetest people I've ever met. Just like huge heart, unbelievable generosity and everything. And yet she has a propensity to say the F word a lot, which is so awesome and counterintuitive. But like my kid will be in the office and she'll just bust out the F word. And so I'd be like, dude, to her. Okay, that was 6 dudes, all said differently, same word each time, all with totally different meanings. You have so much control over what your words mean, not even with your body language, but with the tone of it. So I hope that little exercise made some sense, and now I'm done with the Superman and the smiling and the dude stuff. Now we'll go into the normal fan club action, and we're going to, this is the most interesting video I came across, and we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I was really fascinated by this guy, and he's going to talk about hands, okay, which, believe it or not, are probably next to your face. They're the most important thing about how you communicate with people. Okay, here I am trying to do it right here. The guy gets very into what you do with your hands at certain times and the statement it makes with when you're doing that. So I hope this is interesting. We won't watch the whole thing. It's 14.5 minutes long. We'll watch only about 14 minutes of it, okay? So. Like how I booted it up for everybody? His name's Alan Keyes.
Good morning. Before we kick off, let's get a bit of light in the room, guys, so I can see the faces. So when I grab some of the participants that we get a little later, see where you are. That's a bit better. Good. Everybody hold your right hand in front like this in handshaking position.
Follow along.
Cross your legs. Relax position. Right hand in front. When I say the word now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone beside you, shake hands as if you're meeting for the first time, and keep pumping till I ask you to stop. Then you'll stop and freeze it. And we're going to analyse what's happening. You got that? You don't have time to think about this? Do it now. Pick anybody and pump, pump. Everybody, pump, 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 pump. Freeze it, hold it, stop, hold it, freeze it. Keep your hands locked. Keep them locked. Person whose hand is most on top is saying, I'll be the boss for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess I am on top. Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh, that's so funny.
And when you meet people for the very first time, the first 4 minutes of meeting a new person, you decide pretty much 80% of your attitude about them, don't you? In fact, over 80%. You decide in the first 4 minutes of meeting somebody whether you're going to give them a fair go, a fair hearing, or whether you're going to reject them. And the first thing that's likely to happen is this thing called a handshake. And I'm going to try a couple of the front row here. You get 1 to 3 feelings when you lock hands with people. The first feeling is, it feels pretty good. Actually, I think you and I will get on pretty well. I think we could do business together. I think we're going to get on well. That was a good one. Let's try a second one. Okay. Just check my cash, see if it's still all there. Yeah. I felt a bit intimidated then. Let's try the third one. Yes, you'll do anything I want, won't you? Now, actually, you all had roughly the same handshake, but you do get 1 to 3 gut feelings. It has to do with 2 things. One is the angle of the hand, and second is the power of the hand. Now, I'll demonstrate. Let's get this gentleman at the front row. Can you come and join me up here, please? Yes. Fellow looking concerned. Come up here. Here is your modern Western handshake. Here's how it looks. It's been in this position for about 2,000 years. Now, if you go back 4,000 years to the Roman era, on vases, you would have seen it looking like this. That's its original position. It has several significances. So what would happen is that the troop leaders would meet after battle or training, and they're always men, so this has remained a male activity until recent times. When they would meet, they could do this. If his arm was stronger, it would go something like this, and you'd all say, he's got the upper hand. Upper hand is an ancient Roman expression. Now, if he's got the upper hand, it means his guys get the first crack at the whining, the dining, and the dancing. My guys have to wait. If it goes the other way, my guys get first crack. If it's in the middle, it's 50-50. This was originally done squatting. Now we do it standing, so the fingers are below the wrist instead of above, but essentially we have the same position. So that's why when the hand's locked, if his hand is slightly on top, it doesn't have to be right on top, just a little bit. I'll get a feeling at a gut level, Now we think this is hardwired because you've never been trained to decode this. I get a feeling he's coming on a bit heavy. And he feels like, yeah, I think I can dominate here. If it goes the other way, I feel like, yeah, I got this sucker all lined up, haven't I? Huh? How do you create rapport with a handshake? Here are the two rules. First, keep your hand absolutely straight. Second, this takes a bit of practice, particularly if you're a female, give the same pressure you receive. So on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say that a 10 is a really strong one, and a 1's 4 breakfast sausages, okay? Now let's try it again. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, yours is about a 7. Mine's about a 7 too, so therefore it felt pretty good. Neither got the upper hand, the dominant hand. And that's why at the gut level, we both felt pretty good within it. You know, I can see the look on your face. It felt okay. Yeah, that felt good. Yeah, that's very good. Now, what happens if you meet someone who's got, let's say this time you're going to give me a 9, and I've only got a 7, so give me a 9 in intensity. Whoa, now the hand will go straight on top. I've got to respond with an extra 20% just to level it up. Because if I know, he's going to have one up on me before we start. He'll know it, and I'll know it, but not a word's been said. Make sense? Give him a round of applause. Thank you.
But I don't think you should respond with a wet fish if you get a wet fish.
Now, there are more connections between your brain and the palm of your hands than any other body part. Did you know this? More connections between the brain and the palm of the hands, including men, ladies, than any other body part. So clearly the palms have evolved as a very important part of human beings, and they are. They make your bed, they brush your hair, they do small artwork, they do handshakes, they play the piano. In fact, they do more things than most other body parts. But here's my question to you. When you're dealing with people where you want to persuade them, convince them, get them on side, you want to get them to say yes to whatever you're proposing, whether it's that job or that date, or just to get your idea and accept it, where are your palms as you're talking? Now, this is something that most people have never considered. Never. You know, after the session, you'll consider it, you'll think about it, and later today, you'll start to realise things about why people respond to you in the way they do that you've never thought about. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say the same thing 3 times. I'm going to change only what I do with the palms of my hands. Now, I keep my body fairly still, so I don't use any of the body signals to infiltrate this. And I'll keep my voice as close to the same as I can. I say as close as I can because we know that when you change your body language, it's hardwired in your brain to change the way you sound. So I'll try to keep it as close as I can sound-wise. And I'll use exactly the same words, same instruction 3 times. Now, your task is to decide, do you accept what I'm saying? Do you want to do it, or do you reject me? Do you want to fight me, or do you want to go along with it? You want to say yes or no. That's what you've got to do. Okay, clear on this? Here we go. First instruction. Now, don't do this, just imagine this is what we're going to do. Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask the people who are sitting in these seats here, I'll invite you to come and sit on the side of the room, please. And I'll invite the people here to take their seats. Now, those in the back of the room can come forward to the front, and those of you in the front can sit anywhere you choose. Now, raise your hand if you feel okay about what I'm asking. People say, okay, raise your hand. And so just about all of you are prepared to do what I want. You don't even know what it is, but you're prepared to get up and do what I want because you feel like I won't threaten you, I won't intimidate you, Ellen won't make me look silly. This could be a bit of fun. That's what your mind's thinking because I use a signal that appealed to your ancient brain. Let's try the second instruction. Same words, same voice, changing only the palm. Here we go. Now I'm going to ask the people sitting on this side of the room here, I invite you to come and take these seats. And the people there, you can sit over here, please. Those at the back, come forward, please, and sit here. And those in the front can sit anywhere they like. Give me a word that goes with this. What are you feeling? A word. Okay, who feels like you're getting an order? Raise your hand if you've got an order. Okay, think about this. So are you telling me that all I have to do is change my palms from an upward position where you wanted to do anything I wanted without question? Now I've turned it over. Now you're saying to yourself, hang on a minute, this guy's giving me an order. Well, maybe I don't want to do that. I'm an independent. I'll just check it all out. Make me laugh, funny guy. So now many of you are resisting. Let's try the third approach. Now I'm going to ask the people sitting in these seats here, if you can come and sit over this side of the room, please, and those in those seats. I can sit here. In the back of the room, you can come forward, please. Sit here. And those in the front can go anywhere you like. Now give me a word that goes with this, a word. And not a gesture, a word. I guess that was a word. What are you feeling with this? Well, this is more than an order. This is a directive. You have no choice, and you're an idiot. So we tested this in a very simple way. We've got an audience to sit in a room like this. We've got a speaker to present a proposal. It took around 20 minutes. They had to convince the audience to go along with the proposal. The speaker was instructed to do the same thing 3 times with 3 audiences, same demographic. We just changed the audiences. Now, the first time the speaker spoke, primarily using palm up position. Like this. So that was the way the proposal worked. Here's the bottom line. It would work for you, sir. It would work for you, ma'am. It would work in Australia. It would work in America. It would work. And that's the way they did it for the first proposal. We moved that audience out, put in a second audience now. Same presentations given to the same demographic audience now, but a different audience using palm down. Here's the way the deal works. There's the bottom line. It would work for you. It would work for you. It would work in America. It would work in the United States and in Iceland. Move that audience out, put in a third one. Now give the same presentation using finger pointing. Here's the way it works. The bottom line's there and there. It'll work for you, you, and America, Australia, and Africa. Now we survey all 3 audiences looking for 2 things. First, with a simple test, how much could they recall of what the deal was about? In other words, we're looking for how much were they listening to the deal as opposed to judging the speaker. Secondly, from a list of adjectives, we asked them to pick the adjectives that best describe how you felt about the speaker. Do you reckon there was any difference? You already know the answer, don't you? You know the answer already without even seeing the results. That the palm up speaker had up to 40% more retention of the deal than the palm down speaker. The palm up speaker had the best adjective: laid back, friendly, humorous, engaging. As soon as the palms turned over, authority, management, telling me what to do, pushing. When the finger came out, nobody could remember much, and they got the worst adjectives about that person. Now here's my question for you. What's your prominent position? You have a dominant position of one of these, and which is yours? Most people have never considered, but you've got one that you are using primarily when you're dealing with others. Now it's up, it's over, it's your finger. And we know the palm down, historically, is a power signal. There's more power, in fact, 4 times more power in your hands facing down than up. Think of famous examples like Adolf Hitler, the Nazi salute went, Hail Hitler, and it frightened everybody. How would he have gone if he had gone, Hail Hitler? Nobody's going to follow Hail Hitler. That's scary. That's submission. Now, here's the good news about this, that you can change and modify your hand signals with a little practice. Now, when you first start to do this, what happens if later today or tonight you suddenly discover you're a finger pointer? Like you're talking to a few of your friends that are here and you've forgotten all about it, and you're talking and they're watching, looking at your hand. And there it is, hitting these silly idiots on the head, not giving submission. Now, the thing about body language, it's an outward reflection of your emotional condition. All body language shows is how you're feeling. Whatever attitude or emotional feeling is likely to be reflected in gesture, movement, or posture. Now, the reverse is true as well. If you intentionally take certain positions or postures, then you'll start to feel the emotions that go with it. For example, everybody copy this. Like a form of praying, just lightly tap it back and forth. Now, put a little smile on your face. No teeth. Call out your attitude. How do you feel when you do this? Yeah, you're actually a good plan, aren't you? You're pretty smart. You are in charge. In fact, the word that goes with this is confidence. If you're feeling confident, like, I know what I'm talking about, I'm in charge. I'm an expert. It may appear, you may unconsciously use it. But if you intentionally use this, in situations where you feel intense or nervous, it does 2 things. First is, when you intentionally take the gesture as you just did, you start to feel more confident, in charge. Charge my emotions. Importantly, the person who sees you do it, it's a feeling. You seem to know what you're about. You know what it was? You know, when I first met that guy and that woman, they just seemed to have a confident attitude. Well, no, they're probably intentionally doing it to create that, to reassure themselves and to make you feel good. Fake it until you make it. Now, if you keep on doing this as part of your repertoire, eventually you will constantly, when you do this, you will feel confident about what you're talking about, even when you don't. So you can go into politics. Here's my question for you. What is your dominant position? Palm up, palm over. Think about life today, business and personal relationships. It's all first about people. Does somebody buy you? Now, if somebody buys you, particularly the first 4 minutes, they're forming up to 90% of their opinion about you. If they buy you, there's a good chance they'll buy whatever goes with you. What goes with you is what you want them to do. The other thing is also true. If they don't buy you, they're not going to buy whatever goes with you. Even if it's a good idea. They don't get that connection. They feel that you don't like them or you're threatening or intimidating. Suddenly they just don't want to say yes to whatever you're suggesting, even if this is a good idea. So you can practice palms up where you want to get cooperation. Now, sometimes you might want a bit of authority. you'll turn the palm over. So, for example, if the fire alarm went off in this building, I would say, now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go by that exit, and that exit, and that exit. I wouldn't say, now, here's what we need to do. We're going to go, because it'd be every man for himself if I did this.
Becomes very
So by
prevalent
intensely
when he does
practicing
that.
positions, suddenly with the palm up, you'll find that people start feeling like they're drawn to you. In fact, as we've been talking, I've been drawing you to, I've been doing the Obama hug. We want to help the American people. We want you to come here. Yeah, we love you. Like your mum and dad cuddling you. Like I think of his predecessor said, we want to help everybody. We want to help you, and you.
Oh, that's a gun.
Body language is an outward reflection of emotions. If you intentionally take certain positions and practice them, it suddenly changes how people perceive you, and it changes your own physiology. You start to feel different about yourself. That's the great thing about it. You can do things on purpose, which gives you a greater chance of getting a yes to the job, proposal, to the idea, the date, or better.
Okay, I hope that worked. I was sitting here thinking, are people even able to watch this? So I hope it worked. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all your faces again. For better or worse, I got more compliments about that 14 minutes of fan club than I've ever gotten for all fan clubs I've ever had. So I think Alan Pease is going to be our new director of education, and he will from now on be running these. So your wishes are my command. Okay, so I'm really good with that. Really quick. Someone tell me if they know they're one of these, or if you know you're one of these, or if you know you're one of these. I'm fascinated by this. Anyone, you're thinking about these things, I hope, as you're watching this. Did it register with anyone? Oh, that's me. Oh, or yeah, that's me. Yeah.
It depends on who you're talking to.
So Kathy here said it depends on who you're talking to. What do you mean, Kathy?
If I'm talking to my kids, I am one of these.
And is that what we should be? I mean, there's always a time for authority, but would we get more cooperation from our young ones if we were more like this with them? Because I'm like this or like this with my kid all the time, or like this. Yeah.
It's different. I talk to my toddler. I think I am kind of more like this toddler.
So Dana's saying she has toddlers. She's more like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or like this.
Last couple days.
Kelly, you have younger kids. Can you picture how you communicate with them with your hands? Excellent. Anyone else? Let's not talk about kids. Let's talk about your business, because that's what we're really here for. Can anyone feel, as you're watching that, oh, I do this a lot? And that's okay. I mean, we're not scolding anyone, but you need to knock it off. Now, did anyone?
I think it's natural to point to a presentation, to use your finger, for me, like to point to it if you're talking about it. But to put your hand out open would be
A little odd.
It would feel odd, but it
Probably be more
it would probably be
opening.
more
Yeah.
received.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you've got your marketing agreement. Is that what it's called when you're in real estate? You want to get this person to list with you. You've gone over all your good stuff. Mr. Burns, here's our marketing agreement, and I'm using my finger. I'd love for you to sign it. Mr. Burns, here's our marketing agreement. I would love to represent you, whatever, use the same words.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or here is the marketing agreement. I would love for you to sign it.
Very different. Yeah. Very different.
I'm getting that it sounds different here. Yeah, Ned's like, you could take that back with that pointy finger there, Jack. This one seemed to get some momentum. I was fascinated by what the guy was saying about the amount of receptors or whatever connections between our 10 fingers and our brain, more than any other place. And that makes sense given the fact that we do have 10 appendages that our brain has to talk to, and these are the most finely tuned things on our body. So that's why I think hands resonate so much with people. Think of who are the best public speakers you've ever seen, either in person or historically. You know, he mentioned Hitler. I'd never thought about that, but that makes sense. Bill Clinton did this. This was Bill Clinton's go-to move. And I was always curious about that. It struck me as very interesting. But this is what he did, and I never knew what it meant other than I felt like he was I was under his thumb a little bit. I'm not sure about that. Obama, I think, was expansive in his gestures, probably too much so at the beginning, and I think he toned down or got bored. But all of this is about convincing the people you're working with to do business with you. And I don't want to turn this into a crass, like everything has to be about improving your business. But I do think that both on a personal and a professional level, the more you can think about this, the better you're going to be at what you're doing, whether it's parenting, whether it's talking to your spouse or your parents or your clients. So if you're aware of this stuff, that's a good thing. Just don't let it trip you up. Like, what I meant to say, you're talking to someone and, oh, no, what I meant to say, and do it over, and then you look like Steve Martin doing the wild and crazy guy routine. You don't want to do that. But there's a lot of good information in just that 14-minute one. That was my favorite one. I hope it doesn't mean don't watch the rest of them. But the sheet I'm going to send everybody, everything from how to win a negotiation to neuro-linguistic programming, which is a way of talking both to yourself and to the people next to you that will help convince them to do what you're saying. It goes into hypnosis if you take it far enough, but that's certainly not what I'm suggesting that you do. Unless you can win a listing. I mean, by any means necessary, as Malcolm X would have said. And but a lot of this is just in how you forget your hands for a minute. How are you presenting yourself when you're talking? If you're seated, some of the videos I've shared with you, if you're like this, you're in a non-aggressive but almost non-confident position. Especially when you're listening to someone, you go like this, you lean back. It means you're not engaged. This is actually a very engaged stance or posture when you're listening to someone, leaning into them. Eye contact obviously is huge. Studies I was reading said about 80% of your time talking with someone should be, you should have eye contact. 20% doing what, I don't know, but obviously eye contact is a big thing. So, and as I'm saying this, all of you are professionals, and you're all like, duh, thanks for wasting my time, these are no-brainers, but put these into your role playing, put these into your scripts. What does your script feel like when you talk like this? And do it with your partner again. What does it feel like when you do this? And just the more you can master these things, the more in control of any situation you can be in. Because there is a time to use these hands. There is a time to use this. There's a time to do this, I think. So that's what I had to share with you about nonverbal communication. But again, I'm not the expert here. I'm just the director of education. Okay, no, I'm not the expert here. I would love to hear some tricks, some best practices from any of you that have had successful moments where you know your body language, your nonverbal communication did really good things, or it's just as instructive sometimes, I think, to know when it didn't work and when you know that the signals you were giving with your body ruined a deal or a parenting moment or whatever. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
I'm curious how many people have used or know of verbal judo.
Chris is asking about verbal judo.
Is that your downswing?
No, it's just it's a simple two sentence statement usually, and it revolves around the words and and but. You start with a positive sentence like, I love your kitchen, I love your home, and, or, but, this is going on. So in another lifetime when I was in the Eagle County Jail as an officer, about 10 years ago, it's a way to talk to someone in a close proximity under any and all circumstance to get them to, no, I don't know if I should use this word because it might not be the best word, but basically submit to what you're trying to get them to do. And I've now taken it over to real estate. When I'm going on a really hard listing presentation, or I know I'm up against a lot of people, I often use it because it's often, I wouldn't say forceful, but it commands the seller's attention and gets their attention. And 8 times out of 10, they see what you're trying to get, and they see how powerful you can be as a representative for their needs.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I'll add maybe a verbal judo link to this thing I sent you, but when you start with a positive, when you start with a compliment, you get the person's attention because you have stroked them. And people, we're all animals. We like to feel good about ourselves or our home or our performance or whatever. So if you start with the good, the criticism is much easier, much more easily digested, I would think.
Yep. Exactly.
Because you've been told you're really good at something and here's how to improve, as opposed to, boy, you suck from the get-go, right? Because when you come in with criticism start, that's what you're saying.
And for me especially, I'm a bigger guy. I often come across as a little intimidating. For me, it just softens the approach, but still gets the effect I need for them to understand the circumstance I'm looking to get.
That's fascinating, Chris. So if you know Chris, he's like 6'8" and 250, something like that, about that, Chris. No, but what is your size conveying from the, before your body language? You've got your size to deal with, height, how robust, whatever, and you're sending signals with your size. Again, we're all animals. We respond to size. So Chris, to, especially maybe if you're working with someone who's much smaller, you've got to tone down your size. You can't chop 4 inches off of your height, but your voice, the things you say, can reduce your stature, make you less intimidating. That's a.
I often just I guess female buyers or sellers often I get the impression I'm like the biggest cuddly teddy bear you'll ever meet, but I often get the impression sometimes some females who may not know me that well, I may come across as intimidating, and that's not my intent. So I just simply soften my tone. I open up my chest like you were doing with the Superman, and I stand to a side. In the cop world, it was called the 2 position. You go from directly in front of someone talking to them with direct eye contact to maybe like an 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, or excuse me, 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock position on a clock. So you basically just stand off to their side. It kind of just softens the approach.
Yeah, that's great. And Chris, you shouldn't have said any of that because you're about to go to Gen Blue with me, and I will be introducing you as the big, soft, cuddly teddy bear.
That's all right.
3 days that we're there. One of the videos, and I can't remember if I put it on the link or not, the guy talked about 45-degree angles. Don't stand face to face. That's very militaristic. It's very intimidating to be, perpendicular to each other. So you want to angle yourself if you can a little bit. Tons and tons of research out there, and you can't ingest all of this and use all of it. But boy, if you can think about what your feet are doing, if you can think about the tilt of your head, this means you're a little submissive. If it's too high, it means you're a little bit arrogant. So you want to have that fairly straight ahead. There's every single thing we do sends a message. Me doing this right here, and I'm not doing this on purpose. This is one of my go-tos, I think, sends a message. Josh doing this right now sends I don't know what the message is, but it's sending a message. This sends a message. So the more you can be aware of that, again, without tripping yourself up and losing the focus on what you're trying to talk about, the better you're going to be at this job. Chris, that was awesome. I'm going to try to find some verbal judo to add to this thing. Any other people have like a thing you do, a go-to move, any of that sort of stuff? Like when you want to close a deal, does anyone have a gesture that you know is going to get the deal closed? Is it this right here? Is it this? And everything I read said never cross your arms when you're in these types of situations. Is there a go-to gesture any of you have without telling us where the best fishing hole is?
Something that we've done a lot of with Bill Pipes with Sales Edge with Tom Ferry is when you're doing a lot of your scripting and your role playing, is that like when you're, let's say, getting a listing and you're trying to close it, you can say to them, do you agree that this marketing is the best for you in listing your home? And shaking your head yes prompts them to be in that yes mode.
So I hope you could see this if you're watching. When Stephanie was asking a question, she was shaking her head yes. And so they role play that just like that, Josh. And so when you ask a question, you want someone to say yes, shake your head yes. It makes me think of when we were raising our kid and we were first feeding him. It's the same sort of thing. I was putting food in his mouth and I was making the chewing motions with my own mouth. And I don't know if it was for him or for me, huh? But like just like yawns are contagious, the things you're doing are contagious with the person you're working with. So that's a really effective thing. Bill Pipes is on this sheet, so you don't have to remember that. He's at the bottom with Tom Ferry. Is just sort of like, look at this guy's stuff, because it's pretty wide-ranging and fantastic. So Bill Pipes is the name. Christy actually mentioned that in the mastermind a couple months ago, and so I wanted to learn more about him. He's got tons of stuff out there about all of this communication stuff. Any other closing things that that get the job done with your kid, with your spouse, with a friend, with a client? Chris, you were very thoughtful about some of the things. Do you have a go-to gesture or the thing that's going to work for you 9 times out of 10?
Yeah, it's always, like I said, an open approach. You open your chest up, you open your palms up. You go in confident, cool, calm, and collected, like you know what you're doing, and you get them to start nodding their head up and down with you and agreeing with you. You go in there and you just do it, you know. You just got to bring that level 10 with you and just go in. And if you really want the listing or you really want the deal, you got to ask for the sale, and you got to, you know, open the invite to, or the you got to earn the right to invite, it's called. And so you just got to get them on your side.
Earn the right to invite. That's great. He mentioned calm, cool, and collected. When I was a basketball coach, I just tell my team the 3 C's, man. If you got the 3 C's, it's all going to work, because you can't do this stuff with anxiety, with stress, with concern about fear. But that all comes from doing your scripts, doing your role play, knowing what you're going to say in every situation, and being totally tight with it so you can roll in any situation because you've done the practice. So, Chris, for you, I'd say it's the 4 C's: calm, cool, collected, and Chris. Earn the right to invite. Awesome. Okay, I'm not going to make everybody sit around for another 5-10 minutes unless there's something more someone wants to share about this. You'll be getting the video from me of this, as well as the sheet that has a bunch of links. And if you have more to add, I would love to build this storehouse so that people have places to go when they want to know more about how to communicate better. Okay, next week there's no fan club because we're going to be coming back from Gen Blue on that Friday. And so the following Friday, which is the 27th, the fan club will be basically a Gen Blue recap. So even if you can't go, you'll be hearing all about our annual conference, which is in Las Vegas this year. Those of you that are going, I can't wait to see you for the most part there.
Goodbye, Derek.
So Stephanie was saying that I should come up with an ending joke every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hey, keep up the great work, everybody. It's awesome to be interacting with you, and love doing this. Have a great weekend, and keep making this. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.